I asked for a challenge, and you delivered. Now I've got to make a whole beat out of this awful sounding laptop mic, but I'm gonna try to prove that you already have everything that you need in order to be creative. So let's see if I can pull this off. All right, let's start with the kick. Now when you take a sound like this, how in the world are we gonna make that sound more like something that's in a sample pack? I like to start with something like limiting to reduce that dynamic range and really kind of crush it a lot. Also adding saturation provides really nice harmonics. And just a little bit of low passing here. Now, one fantastic thing that you can do with transforming raw sounds like this is to actually use a pitch envelope. And this is really useful for any kind of percussion sound, but particularly with kicks and toms and that kind of thing. So what you do is, in your sampler, you add a pitch envelope. And I'm doing a really short one, about 245 milliseconds, and we're gonna go 7 semitones up. You could do even more than that too, but it just tightens everything up really, really nicely. So if you're feeling like it's kind of woofy, this is what you wanna do. So it goes from this to this. And now since it's a little woofy, we're gonna add in some EQ and just make it a little bit more punchy. Now for the snare, what we're gonna do is we're gonna use the laptop thunk. And the two elements that you wanna focus on with snares is having a body and having noise in some capacity. Now once again, I'm just gonna apply those 3 pillars that I applied with the kick. Limiting, saturation, and a little bit of high passing EQ. Now here's the cool part. Here's our thunk sound, but just after it is some noise that our laptop mic picked up. Now it doesn't sound like noise just yet, but that's what our limiting and EQ is gonna be for. Check it out. The cool part about that is that this noise belongs with the body sound that we used already because it's from the same sound. So it's always gonna sound like it belongs in the same family, if that makes sense. Now I also recorded a nice clap sound, if you remember. Now if we shorten that decay and we change the sample start to just right on the peak of it, we get this nice snap. And then if we add this really crushing limiter, it just adds in a really nice texture to the rest of the snare. Check it out. Now, if you're somebody who likes designing sounds from scratch, a transient shaper is going to, or a drum shaper is going to be your best friend because it is so precise with how it changes some of the envelope characteristics of whatever it is you're working on, right? So here's what this sounds like without the transient shaper. It can add that bite and that sustain, or even take it away and go in the other direction if you want it to. And this is a free plugin, so hey.
No excuses.
So now the spoon sounds. The nice thing about using spoons like this is that you're kind of simulating what it's like to hit 2 pieces of metal together. And that's the characteristic that I wanted from the spoons and the wooden the wooden spatula. The way that we're gonna get this to sound more like hats is we need to combine a few different characteristics together that already exist inside of the audio that we recorded. First, we're just gonna lower the pitch so that it doesn't sound like spoons anymore. Then we're going to saturate the bejesus out of it. And this just adds in so many different harmonics and makes the sound a lot more complex and better than, frankly, spoons. Then once we high pass it here, it's starting to sound a little bit more like a nice hat loop. Now, it is missing kind of that body, so what I really like to do in that situation is duplicate the original audio and then lower the pitch by like about 5 semitones. Now it's almost there, it sounds pretty good, but it's just missing that kind of crispiness of a hi-hat. And the best way to add that is to use noise of various forms. And luckily for us, this laptop mic has so much inherent noise that there's all kinds of stuff that we can use to make our hat sound a little bit better. So if we just take, like, let's say our clap recording here, and in between all the claps, you can hear all this noise, right? So if you just shorten that envelope, starts to add kind of that crispiness I was talking about. And then if we throw on a transient shaper to our entire hat sound, increase that attack a little bit, it sounds like this. Not too bad, not too bad. We'll throw on a little saturation. a little filter. Whew, I know we can do something with that. That is just the power of your DAW right there. Now this is really cool. So we're gonna build on the fact that we used the inherent noise inside of the laptop mic for our hat sound, but we're also gonna use it for our synth sound. Check this out. If you take some ambient, just room noise from your mic, and you pitch it up a couple of octaves, all of a sudden it becomes more noticeably tonal. And so if we take some EQ and we accentuate that, that becomes the basis for our synth sound. And if we filter it and play some chords here, we can make this sound more interesting though, because right now it just sounds kind of like a sine wave with some noise on it. What I really like to do is add in a nice little pitch envelope. So same way we did with our percussion sounds, but this way we're going the other direction by starting lower than the played pitch, and then it actually rises to meet where we're playing, right? So it sounds like this. Or slower. So that's a really fun thing to mess around with. I also like to add in a nice LFO, like a really slow one to control the pitch. So it almost sounds like you're in a dream. Check it out. When I play it, I feel myself going like this. One really cool thing that I came across that you can try out too is that I used a very simple kind of notch filter, and I just changed the phase to 180 degrees and the offset to 270, so it's doing different things in the left and right channels. All just from a measly laptop recording, you know? It's magic. I love it. Okay, I hear some live bass on this. Is it cheating if I use a bass? I hope it's not cheating. It's like you hear a specific addition to the song and you just can't get out of your head, and you just like, it has to be that. It has to be a live bass. You know what I mean? Now with the kalimba, I started with this, and when you pitch it way up, it sounds like this. And if you take just this one part here, and with our trusty delay on there too, check out what this sounds like. Just like a really cool texture in there. We also throw our glass clink in there and our shaker from the quinoa. Beat's starting to come together. Check it out. Man, is it just me or is that snare just like smacking? I love how that came out. I don't know what happened with that. Now, in order to make this sound like a real song, we need to have like a little bit of a B part. I'm thinking this could be kind of a neo soul kind of thing. And then in the B part, everything will just get filtered down. Now, I really like where all this is headed. I just think that it just needs like a lead of some kind, like some kind of another texture here. So if we take this glass clink sound and we add a little bit of spectral blur, check out what happens when we go down 2 octaves though. Listen how cool that sound is. And we add a nice little low pass filter here. Check out what we can do with this sound. So So the point is, it doesn't really matter how high fidelity your mic is for, doing sound design, because there's so much good raw material that you can work with already. All that noise and stuff just works in your favor, as you saw with some of the sounds that we made together. So if you guys have any questions about any of the processes that I did, I can go into more detail if you like. Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you think, or if you think I'm a fraud for using a real bass. As always, happy music making to you, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care. Peace.